Well, welcome to the Mildura Church of Christ today. We're so glad you have joined us. However, we are not continuing the Psalm 23 series today. We are pausing just for a moment because we have had a great celebration this week and we're actually dedicating this service to it. This week marks 20 years since Andrew Tonkin has been a minister at the Mildura Church of Christ. This milestone came up during the week. Now, he has no idea about this service, so he's probably going to be, what's going on right now? Hope you're watching this live, Andrew, and we hope you enjoy today's service. But we are celebrating 20 years of Andrew and the Tonkin family being at the Mildura Church of Christ. So we've put together a service. We're talking to a number of people that you've influenced over your time, but Andrew has influenced over his time. And if you're not a follower of Jesus, if you're just joining the Mildura Church of Christ this week, perhaps for the first time, we hope you really see the testament that Andrew has been to this church. We hope you realise what a pastor is like and what the role of a pastor is and how a pastor can impact different people. And we hope you see how Jesus can work through people because he has worked through Andrew and his family in an incredible way. So we hope you enjoy this service and we hope that it is an absolute blessing to you. And we hope it is particularly a blessing to you, Andrew. We hope that you don't tell us off too much for taking a break out of the Psalm 23 series. And we hope that will get wrapped. Well, we know that will get wrapped up next week. Before we start, though, I do also need to acknowledge Robin Horton. Robin Horton started the same day as Andrew, so she is also celebrating 20 years at the Mildura Church of Christ, and she has been the secretary here at the Mildura Church of Christ. As the associate minister, I've got to work with both Andrew and Robin, and just a huge congratulations to both of you. A huge thank you to both of you for being a part of this church. And we may be dedicating today's service to Andrew because he's been the minister here and so many stories. But I'm sure we could have easily dedicated it to you, Robin, and you would have killed us. But thank you for being the secretary at this church. Thank you for the role you've played at this church as we've helped love God and love people.
G'day friends, it's incredible to think that Andrew and Kylie with Joshua, Ethan and Chloe are celebrating 20 years of Mildura Church of Christ ministry. Congratulations firstly. In preparation for this video I was trying to think of something witty to say, and yet the reality is Tonks has probably told you everything about himself. There's really no secrets, which goes to the kind of person that he is. It's a great testament to who he is, that he's so open and transparent about who he is, the things he enjoys, the things he struggles with, but most importantly, his faith and his desire to follow Jesus and to lead others into following Jesus as well. It's just a great testament to who he is. We've known Andrew and Kylie for about 30 years, and it's just amazing to think that we have shared in ministry since we were 16, leading youth ministry together, doing Bible studies together. We had some interesting conversations. Tonks was one of the guys, the guy who my bike was stolen out the front of their unit one night, and Tonks was the guy who drove around the streets and dragged the kid off the bike and brought it back to the unit that night, kind of thing. And it's just a great memory. Tonks has his ear pierced because of my wife. She'll love me telling that, but she's not in the room, so I can. And it's a story you've already heard anyway. So, look, I just admire Andrew and Kylie so much, and we have to say Andrew and Kylie together. I know that ministry is very much a partnership. It's very much a family involvement in so many ways. And to watch this family grow together and grow as part of the Mildura Church of Christ, to be much loved and to really involve in the community and to be known in the community is a great celebration, a great testimony to who they are as a family. So to Andrew and Kylie, to Joshua and Ethan and Chloe, congratulations. Thank you for your faithfulness. Thank you for your generosity. Thank you for your witness and your example in life, in faith, in marriage and in family. Congratulations to you, and every blessing to you, your family and to the Mildura Church of Christ.
I love being the youth pastor. it's a lot more fun than what I do now.
Oh, yeah.
I still get to get involved with a few things, particularly with Adventure Club still, but being a youth pastor, you really, as you know, obviously, you're hitting those kids right at that, almost the sweet spot of when people are making those life decisions around whether they're going to be a follower of Jesus or what, they're developing their identity and all that. And so it's just such a privilege and an honour to be able to minister into the lives of young people. But I just think back those first 4 or 5 years when I was the youth pastor, and I just loved it, absolutely loved it.
I first remember Andrew coming to the Mildura Church of Christ, not with great memory, because he first told me, Clinton and Mark, we used to always play video games at the back of the church, and I couldn't not include this story when reflecting on his time in the Mildura Church of Christ. But we had this new youth pastor, and we're like, oh, that's pretty cool. We've got a new guy there, and he seems a bit cool. And he's sitting in front of us at church one day, and we didn't quite realise who he was, and he turns around, and he says, you boys are going to turn those Game Boys off before church, aren't you? And we're sort of looking at each other like, who does this guy think he is? We play our Game Boys during church. And that day we turned them off, and I remember telling our parents, thinking they'd be like, he can't do that. And they agreed with him and thought it was a great idea. And so you could say things started off pretty rocky there, but I think we're very grateful now looking back that we did have a youth pastor that was, bold enough to tell some kids to turn off their silly device, and it made us listen and open our ears at church. I then remember all of a sudden thinking this guy hated video games, but then I was in hospital with appendicitis, and I just got back home, and he rocks up at our house to visit, and he had a Hyper magazine, and a Hyper magazine was basically just a really cool video games magazine. And he gave that to me as a gift, so I had something to read, and I discovered how much he loved video games. And he used video games as something to connect with all of us young guys, particularly at our youth group. And we found this guy really cool because he was constantly playing video games with us. He knew about video games. He knew a lot more about video games than us, and turns out he'd been playing them for years. And he's got a huge passion for video games. But it was such an easy connection. It made us be able to connect with him in an easy way. And that sort of brought the walls down, I guess you could say. And when we learned about his passion for Jesus, and he helped pass his passion of Jesus to us. And it all started basically from a discussion about video games.
Hey Tonks, just want to say a huge congratulations and a massive thank you to you and Kylie for the amazing 20 years that you've spent ministering to us here at this church. From the start of your ministry here, it was apparent that you placed a high value on relationships with people. And I experienced that firsthand with the youth group. You spent a lot of time ministering to me in a relationship level, not just about the Bible, but that time being spent together, not just in the context of Bible study, but more in that personal relationship, spending time together and just growing in our faith as friends. That relationship has had a lasting impact on my life, and I've been able to then take that on board in relationships that I also take part in, especially when I was a youth leader. Having that importance placed on spending time with the kids in relationship, not just telling them about God, but actually showing them. This model of discipleship is evident throughout the life of our church, and it's just a testament to your leadership. Our church has already experienced massive growth with you being a part of it, and I know that God will continue to bless you in your ministry as you serve Him. And I just pray that both you and Kylie are immensely blessed. And we just really, want to let you know that we are very grateful for your time here. And just want to wish you the best.
Also, as a youth pastor, he impacted so many of the young people at the church when I was here at the church in youth group. We had a Bible study that just started off with about 6 or 7, and then the next year me and some people joined it. And this Bible study and youth group just continued to grow under his ministry. And something that was really cool was a couple years after he was at the church, but we had just an incredible amount of baptisms at the church. And I remember being in the youth group at the time, and just it seemed like every single week for a while that someone was getting baptised in the youth group, and it was Tonks baptising them. I think we had something like, there was a period there we had about 11 baptisms in 9 weeks, and it was just crazy because he was just talking about Jesus and preaching Jesus and discipling young people and helping them make decisions for their faith that would carry on for a long time.
Hi Tonks, Marion here, or as you like to call me, Mazza, which annoyed me greatly, but thank you. I just wanted to say congratulations on your 20 years at Mildura Church of Christ. I was there from the beginning and watched when you first came with your very much younger family, And it was really fun to get to know you guys and your family, and even have the chance to help babysit some of your boys at times and watch them never go to sleep on time. But then it's been really cool to see you and your family grow and be a part of that. We first started in youth group together, and you were one of my leaders, and I remember watching many a Simpsons episode and we being able to learn so much about God from The Simpsons, and then our weekly trips down to get our fast food for tea on a Friday night. It was really cool to then go from that, then coming back and then being able to serve with you on our band and church music team, and then also help disciple then your kids as they came through too. Thank you for the influence that you've had on this church, and I pray that you continue to have that impact, and keep up those sermons that seem to have the same letter, and I love how you managed to get the same letter for all of your points, and it was fun always watching you try and get there in the end. God bless, and pray that you have another 20 years at Mildura, or as your ministry goes ahead.
Hi Tonks, congratulations, 20 years, that's absolutely fantastic. I can't believe it's been that long. I still remember one of the first times you coming in to church on Sunday, and fairly sure you had the goatee and you definitely had that silver car, but those were just some of the earliest memories that I have of you, and especially the love of the Beatles, music in general, you teaching me how to play bass all those years ago. Those are memories that I will really treasure and hold on to. And I know it's been a long time since I've been in Mildura, but I do really treasure and look forward to seeing you on a Sunday, or if we just go and catch up for a coffee. But thank you so much for everything that you've done for the church, for myself and my family and everything. We love you. Congratulations.
Hey Tonks, I just wanted to take this time to thank you for making yourself so available outside of all your official duties. I certainly know you sharing your love of video games to a bunch of nerdy teenagers, really helped a nerdy teenage girl connect with her peers, and that's a gift and an opportunity that I use even to this day. So thanks very much for that opportunity. Cheers.
I've known Tonks as a youth pastor, as my youth pastor, and I've known Tonks as a colleague and someone I've worked alongside. One of the funniest stories I always remember about Tonks, and you notice if you've known Tonks for a long time, just the fact that he introduces himself to most people as Tonks, not Andrew, you realise there's something a little bit different about him. He's not just your average pastor. I don't think he'd fit into your average pastor mould. I remember he used to have this dodgy old hunk of junk. It was this silver car. It was a Holden HQ, I think. I only know that because he was so proud of it. And we used to have to jump in it for youth group sometimes, and it was the worst car to have in Mildura. It had leather seats or vinyl seats, and they were scorching hot. It had completely metal seat belts as well, so it was really dangerous putting the seat buckles on. But I remember myself, Mark Midgley, and this other guy called Dano Pid, who were all in the youth group at the time. We're just bagging out his car as we're going on a progressive food thing. And we're driving down, it was either 6th Street or 7th Street. And we've been telling him how bad we think his car is the whole time. We're like, why would you have this? You need to sell it. You need to get a decent car that has air conditioning. And he's like, yeah, well, can your car do this? And he quickly puts some sort of brake on or puts his foot, and he starts swerving and does snake things all the way down the street for about 100 metres or so. And we're like, this guy's awesome. And it sort of just sums up some of the fun that he loved to have all the time. If I ever did that now, he'd probably tell me off for driving like that as the youth pastor at the church. But I know as a kid in youth group, we just loved it, and it really helped him be more approachable.
I think I was a youth at the time, but the youth minister, Andrew, at the time, we went to the KISS concert many, many years ago. And, you know, that for me really stood out as someone that was prepared to step out of the religious box and, you know, do something that he obviously loves, but also take one of his young people with him. And for me, that was just a good bonding time with Tonks back in the early days. But just showed that, you know, he's not the religious type of leader. He's very much a God-loving leader that is prepared to step outside the box and do things a little bit different, which is very cool.
So 20 years, that's a fair while. We've
Yes.
had 2 boys grow up in that time, and Andrew was a new minister of the church when our boys were in their
So Duncan,
4 to 5 years old.
Duncan's the same age as Joshua. He particularly enjoyed the Bible studies, and Andrew was a good inspiration to him as a teenager. I remember him taking his Bible to school to read during whatever silent reading time in front of the kids. It's been good watching Andrew and the kids, the family growing up.
Yeah.
He's always there when you need him for anything, Andrew, so very accessible.
In 2001, so it was basically Andrew's second year here, Catherine, our eldest daughter, came to me after church one day and she said that I really want to get baptised. Can you come with me to speak with Tonks so we can see what we need to do next? So I think I must have emailed Andrew just to arrange a time and, so we could both come in and have a chat to him. Well, Andrew told me later that, he didn't know me very well, and he's getting this email from the mum of one of his youth girls wanting to talk to him, and he really felt, he'd done something wrong and was getting quite stressed and worried about it all. And when Catherine and I came into his office and sat down and, Catherine said, I want to be baptised, he said he breathed such a sigh of relief to think that, is that all you want to see me about? And, and I suppose for me it was probably the initial start of our relationship too with Andrew. It was great. The second story is not a funny one, but when I was asked to think about this one, it was the story that just jumped into my mind. And, at the end of 2003, my mother died of cancer, and within a month, I was diagnosed with cancer. So our children are all in their teens by then, so they weren't little children. They're all of a sudden confronted with, oh my goodness, Nana died. Now Mum's got cancer, and it was a huge shock for us all, really. And I had a series of doctor's appointments that my husband had to take me to, and so, the kids were old enough to be left at home on their own, but Andrew knew when our first appointment was, and he turned up at the house before we left, and he took the three of them, and I think they went to McDonald's, and he got them a drink and something to eat, and while my husband and I were at the appointment, Andrew was there just chatting with the kids, allowing them to talk to him, just get some encouragement and support. And, they knew right from then that Andrew was with them and they could go and speak to him any time. And it was such a comfort for my husband and I and myself to know that Andrew did that for them. And that was a very precious, very kind thing he did. And we very much value him for that.
Hi to everyone here at Mildura Church of Christ. My name's David Westaway and I'm one of Andrew's oldest friends. Well, hang on, I'll rephrase that. One of his earliest friends. I'm sure he's got a few who are older than me. I was actually his one-to-one supporter when he first came to Christ back as a young bloke at York Street Church of Christ. And they teamed us up and they said, Dave, you can go with Andrew. I think they both thought we were a little bit crazy and so we'd get along well, and that proved to be quite correct. Andrew throws himself in wholest bowl. It's all in with Andrew when he likes something. And there were certain things as a teenager we just looked at and thought, he's a bit of a weird kid. He's always on the video games, which that was quite normal. But the Beatles, Kiss, all these things were going past, and then all of a sudden he hit Striper, and we thought at least he'll grow out of that. Yeah, as you know. But I've had the absolute privilege of watching Andrew grow up. And the wisdom he showed as a young bloke and the commitment he showed to our Lord was just absolutely mind-boggling. And Tracy, my wife, and I, we've travelled around and visited Andrew wherever he and Kylie have been ministering. And I'd just like to say a massive congratulations to Andrew for 20 years here at Mildura. I know he's put his roots down here, the family have grown up here, and this is really home to them these days. And so I thought, well, if I'm going to say congratulations, I'll drive up and I'll sit in the church building and I'll and there's no one here. So I'll just record this anyway and say big congratulations, Andrew. We love you and Kylie and the kids heaps. We're so proud of what you've achieved so far in your ministry life, and we look forward to see where it goes on into the future. And who knows, one day we might even be able to snaffle you down to Ballarat, but the way things are going, I think this is home, and you're doing a fantastic job here. So it's been an absolute privilege to be able to travel up here and see you minister, and to be able to do some work with you guys out of Dayton at different times. And yeah, we just pray that God will keep blessing this ministry and blessing the church here, and of course blessing you guys. Thanks.
Well, g'day Andrew, how are you, mate? It is so good and such a wonderful privilege to be able to say something on your behalf. 20 years of ministry in Mildura, what a lovely place anyway. It is warm, unlike Ballarat, which is cold. You can swim most of the year, unlike Ballarat, because it's too cold. I just want to be able to say it has been lovely getting to know you. It really has. You have made my transition into ministry here at Mount Clear easier. You were one of the first that were just actually really opened up your heart and allowed me to speak what I was going through, while at the same time just sharing your journey, your walk, your struggles, your reality with me. Thank you for being open. Thank you for being honest. Thank you for being vulnerable. It really was it was just something that was quite lovely. I really appreciate the friendship that has grown over those first few times of the two of us getting together. It's become a habit now. Whenever we're down there, or you're here, or up there, however you want to look at it, when we're visiting, to catch up with each other, to do coffee, have a bite to eat, and just to share the ebbs and flows, the ups and downs of life, ministry, family. So I want to say thank you. Thank you for being there for me. Thank you for being there for my family, for Mel and I. On behalf of us, as a family, but also as a church, Mount Clear Church of Christ, congratulations. Kylie, you have done a phenomenal job carrying him, loving him, supporting him. They say behind every great man, there's a greater woman. And so I know that this 20-year milestone isn't just you, Andrew, it's your entire family. But congratulations. Enjoy any celebration that goes with it, in whatever form it might be in this lockdown season. But just know that we love you dearly, and you are one of the examples that we look to and voices that we trust in our ministry and in our movement. So bless you, mate. God bless.
Hi, Andrew and Kylie. Congratulations on 20 great years at Mildura. What a wonderful effort, and I'm sure there's many, many years ahead of you yet. I know you've supported that church and supported the people and done some wonderful work there, and it's grown way beyond what probably you would have imagined 20 years ago. So keep going. I'm sure there's some really, really good years ahead of you, and congratulations from Julie and myself. We think back to our time, and we really enjoyed those 3 years we had with you, and particularly I think of the great times we had of a Monday morning when we had pancake breakfasts. So that's not the best thing, but that was one I remember dearly. So well done, and hang in there, and let's see another 20.
Congratulations, Andrew and Kylie. We send our love to you and your family and to the church. God bless you in your next 20, 30 years.
Yeah, obviously you went from the youth pastor then to become the senior minister at the church. Talk about that transition for us.
Yeah, well, that was not anything I was ever expecting, ever hoping for. I think we touched on this in a pastor's chat not that long ago, but I'd come here with Simon, who was the minister at the time, and it wasn't long, about 6 to 8 months after he resigned. And a few months later, he left the church, and we got a new senior pastor, Blair, and had a great couple of years. But then after about 2.5 years, he decided to move on, and I don't think what's going on. Why are these ministers wanting to leave? Because at the same time that they were feeling like they didn't want to be here and they wanted to leave for different reasons. God was obviously doing stuff in their lives and so on, but I was falling more and more in love with this church. So after Blair left, the elders asked me if I'd take on the role as the senior pastor, and I was like, oh, I don't know about that. I didn't want to be. I wanted to be Australia's oldest youth minister. That was my whole dream.
Fantastic goal.
But as I say, I was thinking, well, I'm really falling in love more and more and more with this church. I was feeling this very, very strong conviction that this is the church I want to stay at. Because I suppose, to be quite honest, if just where we were at the church at the time, if we got another person to come in as the senior pastor, it was probably a fair chance that I wouldn't have been able to stay.
Yeah, so we only had one minister for a while.
Yeah, well, I was the only one for quite a while. So just financially and just where the church was at, after a couple of difficult years, I probably would have had to have left. So I actually said to the elders, I said, look, give me 6 months. And to their credit, they gave me 6 months to think about it.
Yeah.
I wanted to be absolutely sure, that the senior ministry role. So I rang a number of people. Trevor Kay, who was the minister here at the time at the AOG church, and he'd done the same thing. He'd gone from being the youth pastor to the senior pastor. And we actually spent quite a lot of time talking it through and praying about that kind of thing. I'd ring up other Churches of Christ pastors who I knew really well at the time and really made sure. So then about 6 or so months later, I was able to say to the elders without a shadow of a doubt, yes, it's what I'm wanting to do.
Just the growth as he's taken over the senior ministry from just a youth ministry role. He's really had to adapt and change, and his ability to use mentors and get advice from outside the church, whether it's other ministers in the area or his idols over in America. Those kind of things have really helped him develop the church as we've been involved with the last 20 years with him.
Yeah, yes, I think he's established a really strong and healthy church, very stable church. It's been stable for a long time now. And I think there's many reasons for that. I think he's great at delegating jobs, encouraging other people in their roles as leadership. He doesn't have to be in control of things.
Not so much delegating, it's more the empowerment.
Yeah,
so
that's
people
the good word.
don't feel that they have to do it. They actually own it and they want to do it.
Yeah, I think just feel like the church is in a really strong space at the minute. There's a lot of good leaders. It's great seeing the young ones come up, and it's all with Andrew encouraging Josh or Isaac, each in their own ministry. Everyone's I think church is in a really healthy place, and he's got it set up so it's in a growing healthy place for the future.
Love God, love people. I know there's a lot of churches that might have that as a mission statement, but Andrew really, really believes that statement. He's definitely got a passion and a heart for God, but I guess the bit that shines out is just the bit that he loves on the people, the minority groups, the non-church people, the non-Christians, the groups that are on the fringe. He just really loves people, and I think that just shows in his ministry and the way that he preaches from the pulpit, and just the way that he welcomes people into the church family. So that's probably the thing I would really go with. For Andrew, loving God and definitely loving people.
I think Andrew's a great bloke, very down to earth. He hasn't lived in a bubble in his life, so life has thrown him a few curveballs over the years, and I feel as a result he's learned how to handle things in a very practical way, and as a result I think he relates to people on so many different levels. He's someone that is approachable, that he can start up a conversation with anyone and meet people at where they're at and find a common thing that you can chat about, and that's with Christian and non-Christian people alike. And I know for my family that has been very important because we've all got a great relationship with Andrew, and it's something that we really do appreciate very much.
The thing I notice about working with Andrew is that he values people just above everything. He just has such a passion for people. It's where I'd say he's most like Jesus, is his heart for people. Our mission statement at this church is loving God, loving people, and he wears that on his sleeve. He lives that every day of his life. And one of the things I love about Andrew, or Tonks, is that he'll come in to a person, say somewhere here on a Sunday morning, and say someone might come into church, and we could say there's a millionaire come to church, someone who's wealthy, the kind of person you want to be around and think, okay, this guy's someone I've got to impress. Then there could be someone that's homeless, there could be someone that smells bad, there could be the last person you want to go up to and talk to. But Andrew sees them the same. He treats them the same, and he's got such a heart for both of those people regardless of their background, and he will treat the down and outers particularly with such a great heart and such a great love. The people I see, that I get to see different people that he spends his time with each week, the people that he gives pastoral care to, and he'll give so much help, particularly to the down and outers, particularly to the people that other people think they're too good for, that other people think that they don't need to spend time with. And it's constantly caused me to humble myself because I see the people he spends so much time with, and people that he's always been willing to share Jesus with, and people that he has such a big heart to share Jesus with, so he'll continually spend time with them time after time after time because he knows and values these people so much. I could tell you so many stories about the different oddballs that he's spent time with and the different stories that have come up from that. But he's just shown me his great heart for people, and it doesn't matter who they are and what their background is, but he will love them like Jesus, and he'll have such a huge passion to share Jesus with them through that relationship.
I think one of Andrew's key gifts is seeing potential in people, and then giving people the opportunity to step out and to rise up. There are a lot of leaders who are very protective of their title or very protective of their status. And that's definitely not Andrew. Andrew is he loves to see people get better, just to see people get better. He loves to give people the opportunity to step into leadership or step into other roles. One of the conversations we quite often have is that a good leader should always be seeking to do themselves out of a job. And I guess for me, it's the opportunities that Andrew has given me throughout the church in the last 20 years he's been here, to step into the deacon role and then an elder role, and now ironically those who knew me a lot of years ago, here I am as the chair of elders. So there's probably not something 20 years ago that anybody would have ever thought I would be in that position. But Andrew has that gift to see qualities in people that perhaps people don't see themselves, and really just gives them that opportunity to step up and to grow into that, and to see where that takes them, to give them that opportunity.
Look, Andrew's been a great leader, a counsellor and a friend, and a mentor as well. He has come alongside me over the times, in good and bad times, and again has been non-judgmental in the way he has spoken to me, but we've been able to work through things, and he's just been a great man of God to have in my life. His preaching, it's just so practical. He's helped me to be able to apply the Bible truths in my own life in a way that's not been difficult, really. I really have loved the way that he's been able to recognise the gifts that people have had in this church, that he's not afraid to allow someone else to step up and, for me to be able to preach for a time there. That is something that I would never have dreamt of, yet Andrew was able to recognise something in me and was able to nurture and encourage me. And, I've stepped out of my comfort zone many a time, and it's largely due not only obviously to God's calling. I've felt that that's where he's wanted me to go, but to have Andrew there as an encourager has really helped me, and it's something that, will always appreciate that he, he's the person that he is.
His way just to invest into other people. He's never somebody that has guarded the pulpit. He's never somebody that has taken jobs off of other people, but he's empowered others constantly. I just look back at my journey and he probably let me preach before I probably should have preached. There's other people that he's given opportunities to do. There's jobs I look back at when I was an 18-year-old and things that he let me do early on in my ministry journey. And I look at young people that could do it now and I think, gee, he had a lot of faith in me and in other leaders to let them lead at stages where maybe I wouldn't have let them lead. But he's empowered them and constantly come alongside them and helped them learn in that powerful way. And we've just seen so many leaders at this church develop because of how much he's empowered them and how much faith he's shown within them.
You know, I think that gift that he has to identify in people, that talent and that ability, and give people the opportunity to step into that, even though they might make mistakes. I've already said it just in one of the last questions, but I think that's probably one of the greatest things he's brought to the church is he's given people that opportunity to really step into different roles and step up into roles, even if they might make mistakes. And I think that in itself has just helped the church to really grow. By releasing people into that ministry area and really raising up the next generations of people into those roles. So that's probably, in a short few words, probably one of the greatest things I've seen Tonks do within the church in the last 20 years.
Apart from his taste in music, we really appreciate Andrew.
And always have.
Always have.
He's matured with age.
Lots of good qualities. I like the way he takes really strict on taking his designated day off, so it's a day for himself and for his family.
Sets a good example for the church.
Yeah, good role model, but I think that keeps him mentally healthy. I think he's very resilient with people in the church, good, bad and ugly. And I think that's good for a minister.
You know, we've got a great leader in Andrew. Someone, again, that's not dragging everyone behind him, but he's coming alongside his leadership team. He has the vision, but as a group we can discuss that vision and see how we can go about achieving that. And I think that's just wonderful. And because it's 20 years now, our longest serving minister, it's 20 years where he's gained our trust, he's given us stability, and we've got this vision, this hope for a future as well, because of Andrew's commitment to this place here.
Just the way, being able to see him up close and just see the heart he has for the church is incredible. To see the heart he has for others and just see the way that he is just so passionate and loves his church beyond anything. And I know that as a leader, I've been able to learn so much just from being able to work with him. And he's been able to make that transition from a youth pastor to a senior pastor in such a great way. And it was such an incredible moment there for him to be able to make that decision and to step up. And he's just grown into that role in such an incredible way. And it's been just a testament to his leadership to be able to do that in such a powerful way. And he's got this incredible ability to work with the young people at Adventure Club, where he can humble himself and work in the kitchen, cooking for kids at Adventure Club, but then he's up at the pulpit on a Sunday morning and he's preaching there, but then he might be at somebody's bedside at a nursing home because they're about to die. And he just values every single age group, every single generation the same way, and he treats them the same way, and the way he can interact with them is just such a powerful gift.
Congratulations, Andrew, on 20 years of ministry in Mildura. I can't believe that it's 20 years already. You must be getting old, mate. I just remember how sad we were that, or I was at least, when you left Hobart to go to Mildura. You had such an influence in ministry in Hobart to the youth and to our three boys, and I'm sure everyone had a great time with you there, even though you did stir us up a little bit here and there. But I'm just so pleased to see you go to Mildura and for your ministry to just blossom. I remember you going there as the youth pastor, and through circumstances, a couple of ministers leaving and things like that, you then stepped up into both the youth and the senior role of ministry. And I just couldn't get over how much you were trying to do everything. And I'm so pleased, though, that you now have a fantastic team around you doing such great work. And I'm really thrilled that you've got this far and that you've been able to have a very successful ministry in Mildura. And I was just thinking, you're leading so well. I just admire you. I admire the way that you serve out of your relationship with Jesus Christ, out of the way that you spend so much time reading all sorts of things. I'm not sure about this heavy metal stuff though, but anyway, I just know that your ministry comes from your relationship with God, with Jesus Christ. And that is to be admired, because I just hold you in high regard for all that you are doing in that, out of your relationship with God. I admire the way that you have cared for your family. When so many ministers lose their families in ministry, you have been able to support your kids. You've helped them to grow up into wonderful Christ followers and serving the church alongside you in ministry. And that's fantastic. And I really admire you for that. And you and Kylie, you're just such a wonderful example of a couple who love God and love each other deeply. And you know what, ministry is a partnership. Ministry is out of both your relationships with each other and with God, and that you would not be celebrating 20 years of ministry if it wasn't for Kylie. I'm sure that Kylie's been there with you, supporting you, ministering with you, alongside you all these 20 years. And I know that she needs to be commended as well. And I admire her for the way that she's worked in the community, but also in the ministry of the church. And so, Kylie, congratulations to you as well for these 20 years of working in ministry in Mildura. And I just pray that God will bless you with so many more years, just wonderful blessings in ministry, that your success will continue, that God will anoint you for further ministry and all that he has for you to do for him in Mildura and in that region. So I just pray that God will really bless this day as you celebrate 20 years in ministry, and hope and pray that this will just be fantastic for you. But may all the praise and all the glory go to be with God. And have a great day, and may God bless you in the years ahead too. Blessings. Bye.
Hey Tonks, well, congratulations on 20 years of ministry. I'm toughing it out up here on the Sunshine Coast for the gospel, and it's a hard gig, but someone's got to do it. Mate, I just want you to know I'm so thrilled for you, and you're one of the most steady guys I know, and you've done such a great job in a long period of ministry in a church, going through times of change, of leadership and all the rest of it. I still remember when you were youth pastor saying to you, one day you're going to be the senior guy. And look, here you are. Mate, have a great night.
I think it's really hard to sum up what Andrew has done for the Mildura Church of Christ, because he's just done so much. He's broken the record for the longest serving minister of this church, not just through which he brought up when we celebrated 10 years, but now 20 years. So he's well and truly smashed that record out of the park. And I know he's not going anywhere. He wants to continue to serve at the Mildura Church of Christ. But he's set us a foundation. He's been able to set new principles and vision for this church, and he has been able to make this church one that I know people around this town just highly regard him as a minister. People throughout this whole state and country through Churches of Christ highly regard him as a minister, and he's been able to just give this church such an incredible name. You talk to so many people around town and they know that we're a church that loves people, that loves others and is open to other people. He's got such a passion for people, and that comes out through the way that outsiders see this church, that people that don't know Jesus see this church. And I think that shows a true reflection of what your community thinks of a church. It shows a true reflection of his leadership and his passion and how he's been able to filter that through our whole church. Andrew's two biggest strengths in his ministry, apart from just his great love for people, but I'd say it's his preaching and his pastoral care. He's shown me how important pastoral care is. You'll see some pastors that don't value pastoral care as high as other pastors, but Andrew's definitely not one of them because he just loves people. Just working alongside of him during the COVID pandemic, you can just see that he's really torn and he's really heartbroken because he's not getting to spend time with people, especially through the lockdowns where we couldn't even meet with people at coffee shops. We couldn't even go and visit people for a cup of tea. But that's just one of his real strengths, is because he values people and he values pastoral care. He'll always show people Jesus through the way he cares for them in a pastoral manner. And it's been something that has really helped develop my ministry and my leadership, because I value pastoral care and see how impactful it can be and how important it is to show Jesus' love through pastoral care, through being able to just spend time with people and learn about them and care for them when they need it. But his preaching is also one of his great strengths. I've been listening to him preach now for 20 years. And I remember when I was a teenager, I loved listening to him preach. When I was a young adult, I loved listening to him preach. Now that I'm in my 30s, I still love listening to him preach because he has such a passion for the Word of God and he just loves telling a good story. He's a really good storyteller and he'll bring the stories in such a good way. His biggest gift with preaching is also just being able to link in different stories that fit in with the themes that fit in with the Bible, and he'll be able to have you laughing if he's not telling one of his dorky jokes, but when he's telling one of his funny stories, he'll be able to have you laughing, but then all of a sudden reflecting on a powerful illustration, and you realise how that all of a sudden interacts with the Bible, how it relates to the Bible, and how Jesus is such a huge part of our lives. He's definitely had a strength the way he does weddings and funerals. I know I had him do my wedding, and just the way he presents the gospel, but he also just can speak to an audience that has non-Christians and Christians in it is just so powerful. But then seeing him do funerals has taught me such an incredible lesson. I've only done a couple myself, and I've been blessed to be able to watch him do funerals so that I can now know that I'm well equipped to do them in the future because of the way he's done such a powerful job. Again, the way he can present the gospel, but in such a gentle way, is so powerful to the way that he does it. If you've never had the privilege of seeing him do a funeral, which is, you don't want those circumstances, but he does such a powerful way of presenting it. And it's just one of his true gifts, the way he does weddings and the way he does funerals.
Andrew, I just want to congratulate you on 20 years of ministry. Who could have believed that? And yet, I remember you saying early in your ministry that I'm here for the long haul. Those words just blessed me because we'd been through some pretty tough times in the church, and we had some godly ministers that came to us, but they were just there for a little while and they were gone. But it just seemed that when you came, you just loved the church so much. And how you come to fall in love with the church, I don't know. But I just want to congratulate you and say, God bless you, Andrew, for the tremendous ministry, because you're a spirit-filled man, and we just love you so much and love your ministry. There's only one little thing I just might mention, Andrew, was that I remember saying to you early in your ministry, Andrew, have you taken any funerals? And you said, I don't do funerals. Now that was prophetic again. Well, it was the famous last words, wasn't it? Because I think you must be just about up to my tally now. I was up to 200, I think, and you must be getting pretty close to that. But God bless you, Andrew, and I just thank you so much for what you're doing for us.
His whole family has just been an incredible asset to this church, and it's a real credit to him and to Kylie as parents, because they're now, two of them at least, in their 20s and still following Jesus. His youngest, Chloe, is just doing so many incredible things at this church while we've been doing all the tech stuff. And their whole family is just an incredible asset to this church. And I don't know where we would be without the Tonkins at the Mildura Church of Christ.
I'm so proud of his heart and his love for every single member of this church. During COVID, it's really become apparent about how much he loves every single one of you. He's really struggling and fretting about not seeing everyone every week, and he's always wondering, how everyone is going. So he's just trying to be keeping in touch with everybody by phone calls, letters, because he just misses each and every one of you, and he's just loves you all so much.
I'd say pretty dedicated and loyal. I don't think he'd want to be a pastor at any other church, so I'd say, dedicated and loyal.
I'd probably say his ability to recruit other leaders. A lot of times pastors can take on the whole job themselves, but I think the way Dad's found other people to fill roles has been really inspiring, and as a leader in the church, I always try to achieve doing this as well, just from that example.
Yeah, I'd have to agree with Chloe and build off Chloe's, and he's just so committed and loyal and so proud of this church that not only he's led by himself, but like Josh said, he's built up so many leaders around him to really all build this church together as one big team and one big family.
And also his humbleness. A lot of people don't know how much he does in this church. You know, he just doesn't preach sermons, prepare sermons. He's happy to clean the toilets. He's happy to, he's helped people move furniture. You know, he gets messages, hey, I need a couch moved. Can you please come and help me? He's just so willing to help everyone. And, you know, he goes from that to sitting down and helping, you know, people through their darkest moments. So I just really admire that as a person, on just how humble he is.
I would say he's encouraged me a lot with my faith, and even after, I reckon, 1 billion questions I've asked about faith, he's always happy to answer them.
For me, it would be just an awesome example as a believer. So whilst being my dad and being able to see it all just as a minister and seeing the witness that he provides to my life has been amazing. And,
Yeah, I've joked about it before that everyone that comes to church gets to sit and listen to him for a couple hours a week, whereas we're stuck with him, 24/7. But I wouldn't want it any other way, that we do get the perfect mix of our minister at church, but also at home he's our dad and also ministers with us every day of our lives, really. I love it.
Well, none of us have ever been a member of another church, so he's been our primary teacher for our entire lives. So
Yeah, I'd also say he's just really good at balancing his job and being a dad also, so I'm really happy about that as well.
Yeah, definitely.
The greatest achievement for our 20 years of ministry here is how much our kids love this church and how much they love serving in our church. We are very aware that that's not the case with a lot of pastors. A lot of pastors' kids can be burnt out and can leave the church because they see how their parents or their father or their mother, whoever is in ministry, they see how badly they've been treated. But our kids have seen how fantastic this church has been to us as a family, and they just love our church as much as we do, and they just love serving at our church, whether it's in the youth groups, with music. They just adore this church just as much as we do.
Well, I thought this one was pretty easy to answer. Us? I mean, he's brought us up in this church, so that's what I thought of anyway.
Yeah, on a serious note, I guess how humble he's been. He's not always wanting to be at the front. He's happy to stay back, clean the toilets. He did for a very long time with the kitchen and cooking and all those little jobs like that.
Yeah, I think so much growth that we've been able to witness being here for so long, and Dad's been here for 20 years now, which is such an amazing commitment to be here for so long and to go through so many different times of ups and downs. And at the end of it, like where we are now, we can see so much growth that's happened over that time, that he's not only that he's done himself, but that he's equipped others with the ability to do also. It's been fantastic.
Yeah, for me it would be just the amazing church that we're a part of, that we haven't ever wanted to, well, I haven't personally ever wanted to be a member of another church just because of how awesome this church is, and I feel like this church wouldn't be the church it is without the amazing work that Dad's done in it.
I would say it's been fulfilling and rewarding. It hasn't always been sunshine and rainbows. There's been ups and downs, but overall we just love it here. We couldn't imagine living anywhere else, and we hope to be here for another 20 years.
I think it's fantastic being, we've got that little inside scoop of Dad at home, Dad outside of the church that I think a lot of people might not be able to see. And I think it's fantastic to see that he really does live his life how he preaches it, whether it's at home or here on a Sunday. And that's something that we definitely get to witness, so often. We'll hear Dad preach about what to do in certain situations at church, but we also get to see him actually living that out every day, which is, I think it's fantastic.
I know for me, it's good to see that he's not just a Sunday Christian where he comes to church and puts his reverend hat on and delivers a sermon and then takes it off and goes home and yells and screams at his kids, but he really does, like Ethan said, he preaches he acts as he preaches. Even like being a basketball coach for so long, it'd be so easy, like most of us do, get white line fever and don't act as godly as we probably could. But to see even Dad doesn't stand on the sideline and abuse the players and abuse the umpires, but just always acts as a Christian when no one else is really looking. So, yeah.
I sometimes find it hard because he likes to stretch me and he likes to make me do things that I don't like to do, like preaching, and I don't like doing this kind of thing, but it makes him happy when I do go out of my comfort zone and do this. And he'll be super proud that I've got here and I've done this and I'm saying this all on camera, and I'll earn extra brownie points for it. And this is why I got dressed up, Andrew, when I was going out shopping for shower curtains.
One of the best things about serving alongside Dad is that we get to see firsthand all the different areas that our senior pastor is willing to serve in, whether it just be, obviously he preaches every Sunday, nearly every Sunday, but he's also in the band so often. He does kids ministry, youth ministry, and Bible studies that he leads so often. And even if it's just a minor role in the kitchen, you know, Dad will be there. He'll be the first one to put his hand up to do that. And I think that's amazing.
Yeah. And I think it's also great. We've obviously enjoyed serving with him, but he's also never forced us to volunteer and everything. Like, it's all been our choice. And I guess we're all blessed to be alongside him.
So we just had no idea that we would be up here for 20 years. We didn't see past a year, 5 years, 10 years, 15 years, and now it's 20 years. So as I said, you know, we're happy here and we just hope that we're going to be here for a very long time. We left freezing cold Tassie with two little kids, 2 and 4. Chloe wasn't even born yet. And we moved from chilly, cold, down near the Antarctic Tassie up to, we thought, the surface of the sun almost. It was so hot, but we just love it now.
I think, you know, some of the funniest things from Dad is all his corny jokes that he says pretty well every Sunday sermon that he puts together. I think, you know, you always get a few laughs out from the crowd, whether they're, you know, proper laughs or sympathy laughs. I don't know. We'll have to ask a few people, but yeah, I think I love it. And all the old school lingo that he likes to throw into his sermons that have me scratching my head sometimes, but thankfully he clarifies those for us.
I think for me, I always think of the funniest sermon I've ever heard Dad do. And it actually wasn't Dad's fault that it was so funny, but we were doing a series on Avatar, and there was a scene, and I'm fairly confident that the message, this is about 10 years ago, the message is on either faith or trust. And there's a scene in Avatar where he has to unite with his dragon bird thing. I don't know what it is.
Something like that.
But he jumps off a cliff, and the person on projector was supposed to pause it at a certain time, and they let it go too long, and it actually swore during the night service in front of everyone. I'm not going to say the word for obvious reasons, but yeah, just a big swear word throughout everyone, and I just remember thinking it was the funniest thing that could ever happen in church, swearing in church. That there's this, yeah, I thought it was the greatest thing ever when I was a kid.
Definitely weren't expecting that in any way whatsoever.
No. I'd probably say when he left me at church. So
which time?
So I think, like, as I do, I wait in the foyer for about an hour for him to stop talking, and then just a little bit longer than usual. And then I'm pretty sure Carolyn, she was like, "You've been here for a while," and then I found out Dad went home, and obviously Mum thought Dad took me, and then Dad thought Mum took me. So yeah.
You know, thank you for everything you've done for me. You know, it's pretty clear that you care. So just the little things of, you know, I get busy, and I'm, not great at taking rests and whatever, and just those little things that say, hey, you doing all right? You having rest? How's things going on? Don't change. Just keep doing what you're doing. I know you wear your heart on your sleeve and you're quite passionate about things, and that's probably one of the things that I really love about you, is that you're just so open and honest. Just keep being you, mate. Keep fighting the good fight. Thank you for everything you've done, and thank you for everything you will do in the future. So, and I know Kylie's a big part of that, supporting you in the background. So shout out to Kylie. Thank you for supporting Tonks in his ministry walk and in his life, and everything that you do in the background that people quite often don't see.
I also want to thank you for being the husband and the father that you are. You've set a great example to other couples in this church, and you would admit yourself you're far from perfect, but you are a wonderful husband and a wonderful father, and I thank you for that. Also, again, want to thank you for your friendship and your support to my whole family. And look, I also want to include Kylie in on this as well. Andrew, you've not been the person you are without having Kylie standing beside you, allowing you to do what God has called you to do. She's supported you, she's supported your family, and she's been a great friend to me as well. And Kylie, I want to thank you very much for that as well. And look, I'm looking forward to the next 20 years.
Thank you for being the minister. I thank you personally for being a leader, for being a role model, for being a mentor that's being able to help me be a Christian. I'm not sure where I'd be in my life if I didn't have you as a mentor. I remember when you baptised me. I remember when you helped me be just the person that I am today, and helping continually guide me in my faith and in my life. So I thank you so much for that. Myself and Elise, thank you for being able to help give us awesome role models in you and Kylie, what an awesome marriage looks like and how to be an awesome minister. You've been able to set so many foundations for what I know being a minister is, what is important to be a leader of God's church. And we just thank you so much just for being able to be here at the Mildura Church of Christ for 20 years.
So Andrew, we just so appreciate and thankful that you have been the minister in this church for 20 years, the longest serving minister. You've even beat David Ratton, the David Ratton. Now it'll be
now
the Andrew Tonkin.
Well, for me, I just want to say thank you for being so loyal to this church and allowing us as kids to grow up in such an amazing church where we love the town so much, we love our friends and family so much, and there probably would have been so many times it would have been easy to move to places like Ballarat with all the family, but for us, I know we wouldn't have liked that as kids, so to be able to stay in one town with an awesome church has just been the greatest thing ever, I think.
I'd say again, just being such a good dad and pastor at the same time, just balancing that out and giving us time with him and just, being a really good dad.
Yeah, definitely have to say thank you as well. And just, we love you so much, and we're so appreciative of all the things that you've done for us and helped us grow in so many ways.
So, as well as talking about Andrew, I just also wanted to give a shout out and a thank you to the leadership team of this church. Over the last 20 years, they have had Andrew's back during some very rough times and through some really hard decisions, and they have supported Andrew 100%. They've always looked after his health. They've said, Andrew, you need to take some time off. They've looked after his welfare. He's got some wonderful mentors within the leadership team. There's a saying, that behind every great man is a great woman, but I truly believe in this situation that behind every great leader is a great team. So thank you to everyone in this church. Thank you for the leadership team. Thank you for making our 20 years here just amazing, memorable, rewarding. We love you all, and just happy 20-year anniversary, Andrew. Mwah.
Well, thank you for joining us so far in this service, and we hope that you have really enjoyed just seeing what Andrew has done for our church. We hope you, Andrew, have enjoyed this service and just heard so many memories from your friends and testaments to you and your family. So we just thank you for your 20 years at the Mildura Church of Christ. We also, as we come around this time every single week at the Mildura Church of Christ, we celebrate communion. And I think this is still a great moment, even though much of this is focused on Andrew. He couldn't have done what he has done without Jesus, and he dedicates every part of his ministry to Jesus. And he greatly values this time of communion as well. See, communion is a time when we stop and we remember Jesus, remember everything he has done for us. It says in John 15, verses 12 and 13, it says, "My command is this, love each other as I have loved you. Greater love has no one than this, to lay down one's life for one's friends." And Andrew's life is a testament to this. He says, love each other as I have loved you. And Andrew is, all of his love, everything that he has shown in his life is because of the love of Jesus. And that love of Jesus isn't just a love where he's taken part into other people's lives, where it isn't just a love where he's just gone alongside people and walked with them in hard times. See, Jesus' love is so much greater because he gave his whole life. You see, Jesus lived a perfect life. He lived a life in this world where he did not sin. He never once disobeyed God. And he lived his life as a perfect example. So Jesus' life that was a perfect example was one that unfortunately, instead of being rewarded, instead of being celebrated, which we do now, but instead of being celebrated, it was cut short. You see, Jesus' life was taken from him. Jesus' life, he was murdered on a cross. He was hung on a cross to die. You see, because Jesus was from heaven and because he never once sinned, he was able to be the perfect sacrifice for you and for me. It says in John 3:16, "For God so loved the world, he gave his one and only Son. So you will not perish, but you will have eternal life." See, Jesus died in an incredibly embarrassing, humiliating and painful way, but it's so that we could have an eternal life in heaven. And he would die on that cross. In this time of communion, so we remember that, so that we don't forget that, so that we can reflect on it too and remember to show his love in our actions. So during these next few moments, during these next minute, please take a time just to remember Jesus. Take whatever emblems you have at home. If it's the bread and the cup, use that. Whatever emblems you have to remember his body that was broken and his blood that was shed for you and for me. It's in his incredible, mighty love that we take this time to remember what he's done for us. Lord, we just thank you for the love of Jesus. We just thank you for the time of communion, and we pray that we can use this time to remember him. That we can use this time to pause and to remember everything that he has done for us and that incredible love he showed when he died for us on the cross. Amen. So also, this is also an opportunity if you give regularly at our church, please follow the prompts after this screen, and we have the giving instructions so you can continue to tithe, you can continue to give, so we can continue to be a church that loves God and loves people in this community.
Well, I suppose it sounds a little cliched, but it's serious. I do give Christ all the glory for everything. I know that I couldn't have done any of this stuff without his empowerment, without his blessing, without his anointing, his leading and that. And so I really do give all honour, all glory to Jesus for everything about this church. I never want this church to be the St Andrews or St Tonks or anything like that. It's not about that at all. It's definitely the church of Christ. It's his church. So I think for us as ministers, it's just a privilege to serve him and to bring him all the glory, keep the focus on Jesus. The focus is never on us. it's always about Jesus.
That's exactly right.
If I fail tomorrow, I don't want people leaving the church because I've failed. I want to continue to be faithful to the church because they've come here to give their lives and to follow Jesus, not to give their lives to us.
No, that's right.
That kind of thing. Yep. But just say thank you to the church. Like, this is an amazing church.
Great church.
We're not a perfect church, but as I said before, I think we get things right a lot more than we get things wrong. We're growing, we're flourishing, we're very, very supportive. The church has supported me, my whole family, my wife, my kids, and that's a huge thing. I've seen some families be judged and held back and criticised constantly. It's just been an incredibly generous church like that with a lot of encouragement, a lot of support, a lot of prayer. So I really thank the church, because I probably wouldn't have been here for 20 years if it was just about criticism and condemnation and judgment and stuff like that. So all that. So I really, really do thank all of you, every single one of you, for helping make this church to be just the best place I could ever imagine being a minister of.
Hey, I want to give a big shout out of congratulations to my dear friend, Andrew Tonkin. I want to tell you that you have been for me a wonderful inspiration, because I've listened to you and you've been my friend now for several years. We've had a chance to communicate back and forth. And I've watched how God has blessed you and your family and that church. And I hope your church knows now that you really do have one of the finest pastors anywhere. So 20 years, that's a big deal. But 20 years also gives you an input into the life of people that I know you love. And I tell you this as an outsider. Those of you that are there as members and a part of that body, your pastor speaks so well of you every time I've ever talked to him. I mean, I can't talk to him without him bragging on you. And that shows me that he loves you. And that's the reason I think you've stayed together for 20 years. So I hope it's a big day. I hope it's a turning point to one of the biggest blessings of your life for the next year and the future ahead. And I want you to know that Bill Purvis and Cascade Hills Church and all of your friends over here in the States wish you the very best on your 20th anniversary. God bless you, Andrew. Best to you.